Here's a complete Glock 19 Gen 5 disassembly. Check that the weapon is clear, and the only tools that you'll need is a small flathead screwdriver and a 1/8 punch pin. If you have a threaded barrel, you take off your thread protector, you take off your recoil spring, and take out your barrel. Next, you'll want to take your flathead screwdriver and push down on the firing pin assembly and push out your back plate. You take out your firing pin assembly and your extractor plunger assembly. Next, you'll have to take out your extractor and your safety plunger and safety spring. You kind of have to press down on the safety spring, but sometimes you kind of have to finagle it a little bit. Take out your extractor, and then your plunger and your plunger spring should come right out, and then your slide is disassembled. I do like to take a roll of tape to help with the frame disassembly. You punch out your 2 pins, and then I like to take the punch pin and push up on the locking block. Take out the locking block and your slide stop slide release and your fire control group, which includes your housing, your connector bar, your trigger, and your trigger bar. Don't hate on me too much. I know I did forget the magazine catch spring and the magazine catch, but it is a pretty simple disassembly. To put everything back together, you take your connector, put it back into the trigger housing. You're going to take your trigger, which is connected to your trigger bar, and put it back into the trigger housing. When your complete fire control group is all put back together, you can slide it back into the frame. It does take a little bit of wiggling around sometimes, especially with that trigger bar sliding up against the frame, but it should snap right in place. I do like to take the smallest pin, put it back into the trigger housing, snap it in, and then you take your slide stop slide release, make sure it's in the right direction, pop in your locking block. I do like to take my 1/8 punch pin and kind of use that as a punch guide for the pin, and I'll push that punch pin around a little bit until the pin snaps in place. Your frame should be completely put together at this point. Now you put back in your extractor into your slide. And for the safety plunger and the safety spring, it does have to be in the correct direction, but you push down on the safety spring once your ejector's in. You take your ejector rod and your firing pin assembly, put it back in there together. And then I like to take my back plate, you slide it on, and then you'll need to take your punch pin and push down the firing pin assembly and your extractor depressor rod. And you should be able to push right back up on that back plate. Next, you'll put in your barrel and then your recoil spring assembly, and if you have a threaded barrel, you put back on your thread protector. And once you thread that back on, you can put your completed slide back on the frame. You do a function check, and that should be how you do a disassembly on a Glock 19 Gen 5.